Most organizations are in kind of a quandary in terms of trying to collaborate with their clients. They typically have email as their principal collaboration technology, which is very limited in terms of being able to share files. It's also very duplex. I mean, you send an email out, you get one back. It doesn't necessarily have the same file attachments, the same content, and so forth. So it's not a very great solution collaboratively, but it is frankly easy to use, and that's why most people have kind of drifted towards that. The other option, of course, is an FTP site, which is extremely arcane. I mean, if you've ever worked with one, you can dump a file in, and you know it never gets purged. It sits there for months. It's usually pretty weak on the security side. So what we've done for clients is we've created a facility whereby they can collaborate directly with their clients. And what it entails is setting up a site that's externally facing. The client can log in using their credentials, and the employee can log in using their own Active Directory credentials. And what that means is I've got a single sign-on experience internally to be able to get to that client site. And from a management point of view, we've automated all the processes around the client signing up. So, for example, you know, you have all the things to worry about on the security side. You know, setting up a user ID and password, being able to apply the appropriate security policy for them to get at their data, and so on and so forth. And what we've done is created a package whereby we've automated all those processes through workflow events. So, very simply, you can have, you know, the need to create a site, which you press a button and say create site. It goes and spawns a workflow whereby it interrogates you in terms of, you know, what do you need to add to this site, what type site template are you using, what it is that you need to add to this site, and it can harvest that information from various internal systems. For example, your ERP system. From an accounting point of view, you can have all that data populate over, and then just simply send out an email to the client saying, here's your site, sign up. Then, of course, we'd have an approval workflow to make sure that people that are trying to access the site are in fact approved and not approved. And finally, the experience of actually, you know, managing your user IDs and passwords and so forth. All of those processes are automated.
You might ask, I mean, why couldn't I? I've got SharePoint, I've got WSS, I've got the free version of SharePoint. Why couldn't I just do this myself? Well, you could, but we have. And there's a fair amount of, quite a few problems we're solving with our solution. One of which is, typically people would do this themselves. They'd put the external users right in their Active Directory, and that has all kinds of complications. It might be good for like 10 external users, but then you got to start managing them as part of your AD. How do you do the signups? How do I come to your website and request access? How do I get a password change request? I've forgotten my password. We're putting the users in Atom, in an Atom type of store, so that's completely separate from your Active Directory. SharePoint supports this, but it doesn't give you the tools, which we do, to handle all of this stuff. Another problem that you would have pretty much out of the box is security. How do I handle this? Do I set up separate site collections for each one of my customers? Do I put them all in a single app, or do I put them all within a specific site collection? You don't want to cross-populate your user security. You do not want one customer to see data from another customer. And the only real way to effectively do that is through separate site collections. There are a number of problems with doing this within SharePoint. We have solved these problems by using some of the features within SharePoint, but also with workflow.
You know, in terms of clients that have used this, it's a fairly broad spectrum, but in general, it's everybody that needs to collaborate with somebody on an external basis. Give you an example, board of directors, right? So internally, you have an organization that needs to put information out to their board of directors, but they don't necessarily want them to have access to their Active Directory or their internal control system and all that sort of thing. And that's very natural, right? So what you're able to do is basically create this external site that's secure, where you can publish your documents for the board, and, you know, every board gets, you know, the package. You know, that's the typical thing, and oftentimes it's couriered. It's in hard copy and it's couriered. Other times it's emailed, but people aren't getting the information in a timely fashion and that sort of thing. And where we've deployed this, board of directors have just absolutely lit up. They just can't believe how simple it is to get their content and be prepared for the board meeting. Organizations like engineering firms, they're a big proponent of this type of solution because they very much need to work on one version of the truth. And in order to get to one version of the truth, you need to have the same document set, the same scope requirements, all of the necessary elements for that project all need to be resident and housed in a universal site that everybody has access to in a secure way. So that's a simple example. More complex examples are, we've done this for physicians, collaborating with, on particularly patients. So we may have a caregiver, we may have a parent, we may have the physician, who all need to get at that patient data, and evidently and obviously it needs to be secure, just given the kind of records that we're dealing with. So we've deployed this out, and again, from an efficiency point of view, everybody's looking at the same information, and so that they can collaborate, and if notes need to be taken or updated or alerts need to be set, all of that can be centrally managed in this extranet environment. So it's really giving kind of that MySpace look and feel, if you will, to an external environment, and of course heavily secured around all sorts of protocols to make sure that that data is safe. Yeah, in terms of ease of use, if you can go to a website, you can use this system. Literally, it's of course all browser application. So in terms of signing up, it goes through an approval process. So when I want to get access to a patient portal, as an example, it would go to the person responsible for that site, and they would either approve or reject me. If they approve me, then I can administer my own password, my own user ID, I can change my email address, things of that nature. I mean, all the natural stuff that you would do to log into a particular site. And this is critical. I mean, we've seen other deployments with other types of systems, and the management aspect of putting one of these systems out there is just horrendous, right? So making sure that all of this is automated through workflow processes and of course secure is a big part of what we deliver with this package.
We focused really on usability here, making it easy to use and taking the load off the IT administrators.